Presented by Betano, Nick Alberga flying solo for another quick hitter summer edition of Leafs Morning Take. Jay Roseville's off somewhere enjoying some well-deserved time off. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube page at the Leafs Nation 401. You can also find us wherever you get your podcast. Just search Leafs Morning Take. Pretty simple. Just wanted to check in. A big week ahead, especially in between the pipes in the crease. Ilya Samsonov has an arbitration hearing scheduled for Friday. We'll see if he gets there. To talk about that and much more, NHL Insider David Pagnotta, the fourth period, SiriusXM NHL Network Radio, and the NHL Network is with me. What's up, Dave? How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Enjoying the summer's weird here in Toronto. It's one day's nice, the next day it's not. I don't know what's going on. Kind of like the season.
Exactly. And then you and I went to a Zach Brown concert on Friday. I'm still recovering from that, quite frankly.
I'm surprised. I mean, look, I'm not the biggest country guy, but I was proud that I knew like 4 of those songs. It was great. It was a great show.
If anybody has a chance to go catch a country concert, Budweiser stage in Toronto, it is phenomenal stuff. But we're here to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs, my friend. And a lot percolating, I think, a month ago. I just had to find a way to get that word in there because, it's my favorite word of all time.
Yep.
But let's start with the goaltending situation as I teed up off the top here. Ilya Samsonov, his arbitration case is set for Friday. There's no chance he actually gets there, right? He's going to sign something here.
I've got to imagine. Typically every season, it's rare that we get too many arbitration hearings actually get underway, and the Leafs try to avoid that as much as they can. So I think, and I've got to imagine that they want to come to a resolution well beforehand. So you got a bit of a deadline going into Friday, but that's going to kind of tee up their whole situation. Is it going to help them with some cap space, after the fact? Can they buy out Matt Murray once that window kind of opens for them? How does that all kind of get financially situated, and how does it affect some other potential moves? So you're right. This is in the middle of July, a pretty significant week for the Leafs.
It is. And again, everything stems around Matt Murray. The way I read this situation, I think we're at a point in the offseason. I don't know who is taking that contract. We're headed towards a buyout, no?
I got to think so. I mean, if they had something cooking, they would have done it already. With respect to that, I mean, ideally, you want to move him out and you want cap it at 0, but you got to pay for that. And clearly, they're not willing to do that. And if that buyout does occur, they free up $4 million, Nick, this coming season. That's big. Next season, they get tacked on 2.16 or 2.6, but the cap's going up. So they'll be able to kind of maneuver that a lot better. But right now, freeing up $4 million is huge for the Toronto Maple Leafs as they try to navigate their cap situation and are still looking to make other potential moves. So if they can make this happen, that's a big win for Jim Treliving.
Brad
Treliving, excuse me.
Well, Jim Treliving's kid. We do love Boston Pizza on this show. Sponsor us if you see this or call us. There's so many routes we can go with this. Like even Ilya Samsonov, like what do you think that contract will look like? Because obviously he had an unbelievable season, his first clear-cut season as a number one, at least in the second half. Like he's got a lot going for him, but then like the sample size is quite small, no?
I got to and I got to think you're looking at a short-term type of deal, short-term situation. Maybe you look to Adin Hill in Vegas and you go, okay, he came out of nowhere. We had some inkling that Samsonov would be our guy. So that money's going to have to be above that. So you're looking at north of $4 million. So that kind of evens out and offsets the buyout for Murray. And you're kind of still at that same level, but you need that buyout in order to give yourself that much more cushion within the salary cap, especially in the offseason as Treliving tries to maneuver the rest of it. So I've got to imagine you're looking at short-term bridge type of deal, but you're looking at $4 million plus is my guess for Samsonov.
Yeah, and that's my wonder too. And we know it's a copycat league. Like I always like to compare and contrast and look what the Los Angeles Kings are doing in between the pipes going into next season with Cam Talbot and Phoenix Copley. And again, it is a copycat league. You look at Adin Hill, and I get that. We're not trying to, it's tough. I mean, we're not trying to draw comparables for sure. But I think when you look at Ilya Samsonov, the sample size was there, had a really, really good season. But my next question sort of lies with Joseph Woll. Of course, we love him. We had him on this show. Like, I just think they have to be very, very careful in this situation. He's got 11 games of NHL experience, and to suggest that it's going to be seamless, nothing's going to transpire along the way, I just think would be naive in thinking that way. And that's why I wasn't shocked that they were linked to a guy like Brian Elliott last week, right?
Right. And I think, going into this, you have to proceed with a little bit of caution because it's Samsonov's net. And you don't want to give Wall. I mean, first of all, you don't want to overwork him. So you've got to look at 20, 30 games for the backup.
Yeah.
Most likely. Can he sustain that? Can he keep up his performance over that span, not in a starter's net in the A, but now as a backup role in the NHL where you're playing every 5 games? Like can your flow continue? Can you work within that and keep your competitive level at the same kind of tier as some of the veteran backups out there? So I certainly understand why you might want to look at some of your potential options. But again, there's not really much they can do until they start to free up their dollars. And I liked what I saw from Wall. I think a lot of people did. And I think he has that capability. But it's the first time he's going through that. So it's going to be a learning curve. And if the guy gets shelled in his first outing or the second outing because of the break, don't bang all over him. Like, give him some time to adjust, because it's not easy.
No, we already have the content created for when he gets shelled in his first start, and we're going to go viral with that.
Of course, trade him, get rid of him, trade everybody, fire this guy, fire that guy.
That's 4 different videos over 4 different days. I think it's phenomenal here in this era of digital broadcasting. Has your opinion changed, Dave, when it comes to goaltending? Like, we just talked about Aiden Hill, and we talked about the Los Angeles Kings. You go out and get PLD, and taking nothing away from like Talbot and Phoenix Copley, but has your perception or your mind changed when it comes to goaltending? And if you need that premier stud guy like a Vasilevsky or a Hellebuck?
Honestly, it depends on the makeup of your team. If you have, and I'm going to keep Tampa out of it because that's an anomaly. They're freaking way too good. But if you're rolling with a top tier elite goaltender, then you can afford to reduce the talent levels in other areas of your roster. So your D-core doesn't necessarily have to be the best in the league when you've got one of the best goaltenders in the league. You have to have good pieces. You don't have to have the best pieces out there because you've got that stable cushion in net. You look at Shesterkin with the Rangers, Sorokin with the Islanders. They've got a sound D-core, but it doesn't have to be the best in the league. Their system complements the goaltending, and it works in the other way. If you're loaded, and we'll talk about Vegas, if you've got one of the best D-cores in the league and you've got one of the deepest forward groups in the game, and they can contribute off defensively as well and help out, William Karlsson being one of them, then you can afford to get away with not having a premier elite goalie. So it really just depends on your talent level and really the system that's in place. Can it offset the fact that you don't have a Vezina winning goalie in net? And I'm going to steal this line from Dennis Bernstein because he's used it a lot, and I love it, especially down the stretch and going into the playoffs. You don't need a great goaltender. You need great goaltending. So if your guy is hot at the right time and the other guys on your team are bailing him out because that's their job and you're stacked and you've got the capability of doing it, you'll be fine.
And I suppose when you're Toronto, like, I think it's so important to bring this up, and I bring this up every postseason. It hasn't been about the goaltending the last couple of years. It's been about their inability to score goals when it matters most. And I talk about a copycat league, man. Like, I know right away I did it. A lot of people in this market have been drawing comparisons to what the Florida Panthers did last offseason. You look conversely what the Leafs have done here. Do you subscribe to that? Like, they've obviously got a bit grittier, and I think you look at the composition of that roster, you could argue they're tougher to play against in the playoffs.
You need the mix. You can't go overboard in talent. You can't go overboard in grittiness and physicality. You've got to find the right blend. You've got to marry the two properly. And it works. Like, again, the go back to Vegas, and this goes back for me for the LA Kings in 12 and 14. Look at their top line. Dustin Brown goes into the corners, gets dirty, gets the puck. Anze Kopitar sets it up, and Justin Williams finishes. Barbashev did the same thing as Brown. Eichel did the same thing as Kopi, and Marchessault's your finisher like Williams. So if from a top line perspective, you have to have a balance. You've got to have a mix. And that goes throughout the rest of the lineup too. You don't have to have every line doing the same thing because every line is going to adjust and you're going to have different responsibilities. But your primary offensive unit, you've got to have that blend. So to be able to mix that up works well. And we saw it again with Vegas capturing the Stanley Cup. Now, Toronto now, is it going to be Bertuzzi? Is he going to be the guy that's going to be a little dirtier and grittier? And look, Brownie put up a ton of points. And he was, I think, second in the Conn Smythe in that first year. So, and Bertuzzi can put up the numbers too, but you need him to be the physical guy on that line. You need Auston Matthews or Mitch Marner to be the setup guy, and the other guy's going to finish. So probably Mitch is the setup guy, which is different a little bit because he's the winger versus the center. And you've got Auston that's going to finish. Either way, you need to have that trifecta to really make things work from a first line perspective, and then it just spreads out the rest of the group.
You know what? For me, like, it's not as big of a story because I think wherever this team goes, it's going to be ignited by those core four guys. Like, those are your paid players, those are your superstars. If they're going to drag you to victory one way or another. But the complementary pieces are important. But like, that's the curious thing to me is that like Brad Treliving has come in here, Dave, and like, I mean, they're running it back with the core four, right?
Which, if you have the right complementary pieces in place, I've got no problem with it.
Yeah.
But you need to have those guys contributing in the fashion in which they're supposed to contribute. So you're going to need Bertuzzi to be more physical. You're going to need Domi to throw things around all over the place. You're going to need Ryan Reeves to do what he does best. And the other thing about Revo, and I know you've talked to him as well, like, it's not just what he brings on the ice that's important for this group. It's what he brings off it. This is a glue guy. This is a guy that's A, going to keep this team together, and also B, put guys in their place if they need it. So I think that was a fantastic ad. 3 years, hey, good for you. God bless. But this is what this team had lacked. And you add that in, and then you look at the decor, you bring in Klingberg, you get another offensive weapon who wants to prove himself, took less money to be on a better team, better environment, to prove that he is that offensive weapon again. I like the ads that they've made, and they've got to all work. You're right. It's going to be led by the main four guys, but you have to have the right complementary pieces in place. I think they've got that.
The key word for me is accountability every year. And, I cover this team pretty closely as the game host, and I just couldn't believe it. It was like, oh, another parade press conference 2 days after. We're cleaning out our lockers. We want this badly. It's like, oh my God, it's a broken record. So I think you're right. I think especially a guy like Ryan Reeves, you bring him into the mix, and people like to poke back at the previous administration. Well, last time I checked, that didn't work either, right? So I think you have to give Brad Treliving the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to ask, obviously, about the two big situations that everybody's talking about, Matthews and Nylander. Any update on either front right now?
Not particularly. Matthews is on vacation right now overseas. He's chilling out. He's having a good time. And he's kind of waiting. And I think, speaking to a lot of people around that situation, I don't think there's any concern from either side that they're going to get a deal done. They will get a deal done. Auston Matthews will sign an extension with the Leafs, 3 years or 5 years. I guess 4 maybe, but it's going to be 3 or 5 is what I'm betting on. And it's going to range from 13 to 14 million in that neighborhood. He will become the highest paid player in the league from an AAV perspective. Just depends on how high that goes. And is it going to be 5 years? You're probably looking at closer to 14. The Leafs understand that. They know that. Their focus should be, and has to be William Nylander right now. Bridge that gap. Figure that out. Maybe, and everyone's on a bit of a breather right now. And yes, this coming week, they got to focus on other elements. But they need to focus on Willie right now and try to get him done. Auston Matthews signing before William Nylander doesn't help the Leafs at all, because now Willie's going to turn and go, well, if he's getting 13-7 or 13-5 or 14 or whatever it is, I'm asking for 10, and I put up 40 goals. I was more productive than Auston Matthews last season. And then they're going to turn around and say, yes, great, but Alex DeBrincat got 7.785. All right, well, Sebastian Aho is about to get around 9.5. So you've got to find a happy medium here, and that's what the Leafs need to prioritize at the moment, is trying to get William Nylander locked in. They're going to get Auston signed. There's no concern there. But you got to get William Nylander signed, and it has to be really beforehand, quite frankly. And at the same time, you don't want this circus going into training camp. You don't want this going into the season. You're hosting All-Star Weekend. You got to get these done. And if you can't, then you got to be straight up with everybody, and that especially includes the fans. We tried. We're going to wait till later. We're going to play out the season and compete for a Stanley Cup, and we'll deal with that afterwards. We don't want there to be distractions. We've got a job to do. That needs to be the message if you can't get a deal done by the start of the season. Because
for all these people out there with trade rumors, like, now's not the time where you trade Nylander. Like, nobody has money left. There's select company who can actually make a deal right now. The time was before the draft. So I think at that point, for me, it was them signaling, we're ready to do whatever here. If it's got to be another year with Nylander not signed, it is what it is.
And they've done their due diligence. They've looked around, and I think that's what's kind of created the speculation with San Jose and all that stuff. That's not going to happen, but we'll see.
Speculation with San Jose? What?
Maybe. Yeah, they like Carlson, but they're
yeah.
Anyway. So is it possible? Can a team turn around and say, you know what, fine, we're going to do this? Sure, because who the hell saw the Tkachuk trade happen when it did? You know, so, and that was in July. Season ended a little later.
I was at the bar when that happened.
I think I was too. And then I think I was at a festival or something. Anyway,
probably.
So yeah, so like that, it's possible to see that happen again, because one phone call changes everything. But realistically, as you pointed out, this has to work, and it's tough out there. I think there's a pathway to getting there. Just both sides need to kind of just take a step back, regroup, and get to it. And that may not happen until August.
I just can't pretend to have a read on it. The only thing I will say, knowing what we know about Nylander, his dad played for 27 NHL teams. It felt at least like that was a joke. You can laugh. I think he played for like 10 or 11. But knowing what I know about the last time that they played hardball with Lou Lamoriello out of all GMs in the league tells me all I need to know, that he's got a number in mind. He's getting his number from the Leafs, or he's not getting his number from the Leafs. Like, I don't think it has to be a drawn out situation, and maybe it's different. And maybe Willie's like, you know what? I want to win with these guys. I've been here forever. I love what we're doing here, but I just don't see it playing out.
It's a combo.
Yeah.
It's I love being here. And the same with Auston Matthews. I love being here. I'll take a little bit less.
Yeah.
But I'm not signing for $12 million.
Yeah.
And same with William Nylander. I love it here. I genuinely do. I want to stay. I'm not signing for $8 million. It has to be a competitive balance on both sides. And I don't blame him whatsoever. Auston will get his money. Willie wants his. And will he take a little bit less? I think yes. But does the less mean 9.5 or 9.25 or 9? Like, the Leafs are trying to get it as close to 9 as possible. That's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I get Brandon Pridham's wicked at his job, but in a cap world, I know the cap's going up. I just do not know how they continue to go along like this for the next 2, 3, 4 years. And I get it. Some of these contracts are expiring. Next conversation we're going to have next summer is about Mitch Marner, right? Like, it just continues. I think Marner's eligible for an extension next summer, right? Or is it 2 from now?
No, he's got 2 years left. So it's this time next year is what we'll be talking about, and everybody will be crying about.
It's a tap dance, right? And I just think it's so interesting, and I don't see a resolution. And again, you're right. Like, it doesn't benefit Toronto to sign Matthews first, but like, Nylander's going to say, you know what, you sign. Like, I don't see it playing out that way, though.
No, and look, the guys talk all the time.
Yeah.
So hey, how are your talks going? They're okay. What about you? Nothing's going on. All right, so we'll talk later. Let's grab a beer. Like that. Like, this kind of stuff. Like, they communicate and they go back and forth, and they want to, because they want to know too. Like, I'm sure the future of William Nylander is in some way going to impact Auston Matthews' determination as to how long he's going to be here. And if he signs a 3-year and Willie's gone, like, if I'm Mitch, I'm going, the hell's, well, fuck, I'm not signing oh, sorry. I don't know if I could. You
can swear. Yes. This is.
Oh, I can. Okay.
You're good, bud.
Sorry. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Anyway, whatever. So if I'm Mitch, I'm going, like, fuck, I want to know what my future is like too. So is this team going to be around, or is our competitive window going to be open for the next 5-6 years, or is it a 2-3 year window?
Yeah.
Like, all of these affect what's going to happen. These two deals will affect what Mitch Marner's decision is going to be. And so the Leafs have to take that into consideration as well. And if he puts up another 100-point season or close to it, and Nylander's getting 10 million and Austin's getting 14, 15 for Mitch.
Oh, I don't even want to start the conversation. I don't even want to think about next summer yet, but I'm just saying
100. If he puts up 100 points this coming season.
You're right. Like, the cap's going up too. Look at, and I hate to compare it to the NBA, but Freddie VanVleet, like, there's your example. Like, players get paid, right?
Do it. And all the power to them. If these guys are willing to pay you the money, take it.
Fuck, when do we get paid? That's my question. Anyways, last one for you. I think they've been linked to a defenseman here for the last little while. We've been trying to draw comparables on this show. Like, Calgary makes so much sense, but you wonder if they're willing to trade with the Leafs right now. What's the likelihood they add a blue liner before summer's out here?
Well, they'd like to. They'd like to add a responsible guy because they added the offensive unit in Klingberg. I want to clear something up too because I've been seeing Pesce all over the place. Brett Pesce in Carolina would be a perfect fit in Toronto. He's exactly what they need, the type of defenseman they need. He has a 15-team trade list. Toronto's not on that list. So if you want Brett Pesce, I'm sure they can go to him and say, hey, and this is another guy with 1 year, we'd like to sign you to an extension. Would you come here? Let's hammer that out. That might change things. But as of now, Toronto is not one of the teams on Brett Pesce's trade list. So you got to either convince him or, and first of all, get permission to do that because you need that in order to talk to his reps, or you look elsewhere. Noah Hanifin, I know there's ties there. Nikita Zadorov, more physical and defensive-minded. Those are the two guys in Calgary that they're looking to move. I mean, Chris Tanev's out there too. He'd be a great fit here as well, but that would again, all of these guys are costly, and they all are in the final year of their deal. So you're going to have to get a little bit creative in trying to add. But if they do add, you want a defensive, responsible type of player to add to this group. And that also, by the way, likely means someone else has to go. It might explain why TJ Brody's name's been out there the last few weeks.
That's true. That's true. Lots of moving parts in this market. There's no doubt about that. Dave, appreciate this.
You got it, buddy.
I'm Nick Alberga. Thanks so much for watching at the Leafs Nation 401, where you could subscribe. Take care.